Water can flow or crash. Be water, my friend, shapeless, formless. Reality is not a static thing, it is an ongoing process of becoming. Everything is changing by the second, nothing is truly the same. And our social world is no different. We live in a society, a collection of individuals, a sea of needs and wants, all of them intersecting into a living, breathing collective we call civilization. The tricky part is not the collective, but the individual parts. How do you really approach people? How do we deal with the uncertainty of others? We cannot treat everyone the same way. We must be fluid, read the room, gauge intentions, and be adaptable to any situation. Treat every interaction like play. Remember that reality is diverse, filled with different forms of being. In nature alone, we have millions of lenses through which to interact with and experiment with reality. Be like nature, be creative, be curious, be everything. Welcome, conscious colleagues, to the Philosophy of Power, a movement dedicated to uncovering the secrets of the universe and the power of consciousness. In the previous video, we delved deep into the source of our being, who we are, and what we want in life. This is our power. But we know we have to deal with others, with competing and contradicting wills. We introduced hard and soft power and how they are used to navigate the outside world. Today, we go deeper into real world scenarios. Conversations aren't strict, they're fluid and complex and can take any direction. We explore the many expressions of hard power and soft power and how we can use them dynamically and interchangeably in chaotic situations. Fluid. Be anything. In our daily lives, we settle into repetitive patterns. We go to work, meet the same people, come home, take care of our families. But this rigid routine is an illusion. Uncertainty and probability are the bedrock of reality. This means we have to be prepared for anything that comes our way. There will come a time when your pattern is interrupted. Your friends in the office leave, your boss relocates you, or worse, you lose the job. Anything is possible, but this isn't a green light to worry about every small detail. The key is to master the art of fluidity. Let's say you have a coworker who owes you money. You're not entirely strangers. You get along well enough that they felt comfortable borrowing from you. What do? In this scenario, you have to be fluid. In the office, a degree of professionalism is required. You can't immediately use hard power. He's also your friend, so you don't want to strain the relationship. But at the same time, he hasn't paid you back in days. It's time to put your foot down and project your power. First, you approach with soft power. You greet them, catch up, have a little banter, make them comfortable so they're more agreeable. But you don't let the conversation drag. You're careful to bring it up, remaining civil and professional. If they make an excuse or try to deflect, now you add a measure of pressure, hard power. You become assertive. You ask for a specific date. You're still calm and courteous, but you're making clear that you expect to be paid back. From soft entry to hard finish, you move dynamically between both tools to get what you need. But the scenario isn't always clean. He might pay you that same day or dodge you indefinitely. At that point, you gradually increase the pressure. There is a multiplicity of possible outcomes, which is exactly why you need to learn to play with these two tools rather than locking into one. So many things happen out of nowhere and break our patterns, and we have to remember that others are navigating the same unpredictability. Every person is initially a mystery. Our interactions with others are how we solve that uncertainty, whether the intention is building a connection, extending a friendship, or plain curiosity. Depending on how close you are and how much your interests align, a conversation can move from talking about their favorite restaurant to the historical figures that inspire them. It also depends on personality. Some people love to talk endlessly, others are too shy to initiate. This is why fluidity matters. If someone loves to talk, you become the listener. Soft power. If they're too shy, you lead. Hard power. Enacting your will. But what is the point of all of this? It points back to you. To participate in reality, we project ourselves onto it, shaping the external through the internal. Every action we take to serve ourselves is an act of projecting our will, as basic as grabbing a glass of water because you're thirsty or asking a friend for advice. It's all about getting what you want and need through our actions. In the social world, we use communication, verbal and nonverbal, to enact our will. It's a game of influence where hard power and soft power are the tools to play it. Every action we take serves our narrative about ourselves, our self concept. Every person is a mirror reflecting back our thoughts about who we are. When you start helping someone and it feels good, you begin to develop an identity as someone generous. The external confirms the internal. The previous scenarios deal with everyday social interactions, but in some sense we already know this game exists. It's play. Either you resonate with a person, soft power, oppose them, hard power, or disengage entirely, no power. The whole point is to enact your will upon others, to strengthen your self-concept and move closer to your goals. That's influence, that's power. When you're pushing any goal, you need to exert power. If you want to build your presence in the art world, being good isn't enough. There are a myriad of talented artists. You seek people who can help you get your work into a gallery. You use both hard power and soft power to persuade an agent to take on your project. You collaborate with other artists to sharpen your craft. Even the act of practicing alone is projecting your will. You use the physical world to justify the metaphysical desire. All of it is you enacting your will, projecting your needs outward to ensure your goals are met. We see this most visible on social media, where every content creator exerts their will upon the viewer, projecting themselves, becoming a voice of authority for their followers. Each follow, like, and share is validation they use to grow not just their platform, but their identity. If someone values being a musician, they post only about music, and every positive response is an affirmation of that identity. The moment you post anything, you're projecting your will into that space, waiting for others to either resonate, soft power, or oppose it, hard power. At the end, every action we take is us projecting our will onto the world. The enactment of will is the vehicle of power. Synchronicity, building relationships. No one is self-made. In pursuing your goals, you have to find like-minded individuals. We've discussed how innovators and visionaries changed the world, but none of them worked alone. Einstein needed Tullio Levi Civita to help correct the mathematical errors in his theory. Steve Jobs heavily relied on Steve Wozniak to bring his ideas to life. No great person is an island. Every successful individual had support, an entire team, or a few key partners. But you can't go to just anyone and ask for help. To gain these connections, you need to use soft power and synchronize with them. Speak their language, know what they want and need. Every person wants to enact their will, and that's your opportunity. When you help someone, do them a favor, it creates an unspoken obligation. It doesn't guarantee anything, People can still deny you regardless, but in most cases, generosity builds goodwill. Unlike hard power, which commands and pressures, soft power gives first before it asks. This rapport building is crucial because most of us are influenced by the will of those around us. Now take up two individuals synchronizing with each other and multiply that into a group. You have an entire unit with a shared identity. Each member amplifies the other, developing a collective narrative that increases their overall sense of self. The more people you have aligned toward a goal, the more gets done. We see this in every organization. Teams are structured so different members tackle different problems, each contributing to the whole. Humanity didn't grow because of intelligence alone. It grew because we worked together. So learn to build with others. Use soft power to synchronize with like-minded people. Find your tribe, your allies, your partners. But remember, before you ask them a favor, you scratch their back first. Take care of your allies so they do the same for you. But be careful. Though not everyone who seemed aligned with you actually wants to help you. Someone can approach you with warmth, soft power, only to manipulate you into serving their agenda. Hard power and soft power can be mixed and weaponized. Some people enter groups simply to extract what they want, skipping the collaborative process entirely. Learn to discern. Be sharp with the people you meet. The collective itself can exert hard power too. Every organized group eventually forms a hierarchy, where decisions are made by a few to manage the many. This is necessary for cohesion and order, but in that process, power becomes concentrated at the top, which reduces accountability and increases the potential for abuse. A hostile boss can continue to mistreat employees without consequence. A monarch can issue orders without pushback. This is why power attracts. The more of it you hold, the more freely you can enact your will without resistance. We are taught hierarchy and authority from childhood, by our parents, by school systems, by the governing bodies that collect our taxes. When looking for allies, be aware of these hierarchies. Seek those who can elevate, but be wary of those in positions of power who mistake authority for ownership. Synchronize, but be wise. Learn who is really on your side. That's why dealing with the social world is genuinely difficult. It's hard to know the true intentions of others. It's a game of power where everyone is trying to enact their will. Make sure yours is always met. Play, be free. Play isn't just a philosophy concept, it's a practical stance. Treat life not as a rigid rulebook, but as a strategic creative sandbox where the rules bend and the possibilities multiply. When synchronizing with a group, we inevitably self-sacrifice. But what happens when that self-sacrifice begins to work against your goals and your sense of self? This is a common in any group you join. Every collective already has a shared identity, certain rules, certain dogma maintained to preserve group cohesion, and this scales all the way up to institutions of power, which create societal rules for how everyone should behave. That's why knowing who you are, your specificity, is non-negotiable. To survive the dogma of the collective, you must maintain your sense of freedom. The key is detachment and fluidity. In the modern world, we've diversified into countless subcultures based on shared interest. Don't attach yourself rigidly to just one. Firstly, center yourself. Know who you are and what you want. Then, diversity. Explore based on your interest. Move across different groups, even those with opposing views, to expand your perspective. Be adaptable to any environment. Of course, we all have specific people we consider true friends, but the point remains, keep moving. Don't be stuck with the same people if they're consistently holding you back. Detach, play, explore freely. There is no one path to transcendence. meaning there is a multiplicity of opportunities out there waiting. You don't have to commit to just one. Break the chains of dogma, become something the group could never have conceived on its own. The archetype that best embodies the spirit of play is the rebel. The rebel has intense desires. Some seek power, some seek truth, some seek connection, but all of it is the enactment of will. The rebel can synchronize with a group but remain detached from it. They form connections and build relationships, but they are not enslaved by them. In fact, they're often the first to break them. Einstein was notorious for questioning his professors. Marie Curie defied the societal demands placed on women to pursue her love of science and discovery. It's not about refusing to fit in. It's about the ability to step outside the institution, look at it clearly, and critique it. Every great innovator, revolutionary, and visionary has faced pushback from the very institutions they challenge. They dug deeper, saw between the lines, and dared to question authority. This essence is what play truly is, an unbounded curiosity driven to seek every possibility through creativity. That's why nature is so diverse, and so must we. When a collective becomes too systematic, it develops dogmatic rules that kill creativity, preventing anyone from exploring beyond what the authorities demand. Learning to play rather than simply follow is what protects you from that fate, keeping you free, adaptive, and always reaching toward the next possibility. In pursuing your goal, you have to be adaptive, but also free. You need to play to win. Thank you, conscious colleagues, for lending me your ear. In today's episode, we explore the art of fluidity, how to navigate the social world dynamically using hard power and soft power, and wisdom to know when to use neither. We also looked how to build meaningful alliance and protect your freedom from the dogma of the collective. See you in the next episode.